tank of gas? Does he boots on the wood, let the whiskey pass? This is FAFO, holler it loud.
Welcome, Outlaws, once again to another edition of the FAFO Podcast. Thanks for being here. And we got another great interview. Boy, they just keep on coming. I tell you, this is the thing I love about doing this show. I know we talk about a lot of interesting subjects, a lot of different things, and that's fun. But getting to actually interview people from all over this planet, and so far they've been a little bit from everywhere, and the different things that they do, that's the fascinating thing. And today's guest is no different. Success stories, let's talk about them. Usually, success stories leave out the failures. And today's guest, well, he doesn't do that. Tracy Brinkmann has lived through addiction, bankruptcy, divorce, unimaginable personal loss, and career setbacks before reinventing himself as the dark horse entrepreneur. Today, he helps entrepreneurs use AI, digital marketing, and smart business systems to build income and freedom. Welcome, please, Tracy Brinkmann. Tracy, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, what's up, man? I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me aboard.
No, I appreciate you being here. It's my honor and my privilege to be able to talk to you. And I mean that. I love talking to interesting people. And I say that to every guest because it really is a true statement. I feel you on that. 100%.
And
it's really cool. So this dark horse entrepreneur has got me. I'm anxious to talk about that. But
sure.
Let me. First of all, let's talk about how you got into this, because we all have our history before we end up where we're at. How did this happen for you?
Yeah, I will. I'll give you the backstory of how I got into podcasting, and that kind of tells some of the other story. And we can go wherever you want to. I'm an open book on this. You mentioned the addiction piece, right? So I come out of addiction, and it's Actually, I say I come out of it like it was so easy. 5-0 literally had to kick open my door in my condo. So it was like this wake-up call. 3-month-old daughter at the time. Luckily, neither one of us was there when that happened. But long story short, and if we want to go down that road, we can. I got the wake-up call, the whatever power you believe in, God, Allah, Buddha, Mother Nature, was like knocking on a door saying, dude, you better check yourself or shit's going to happen. So I give, my mom and dad a call, and thanks to my mom and dad and a brother from another mother, I was able to get my life together. That started me, that ended up leading me to the corporate career, right? I had been doing like the entrepreneurial side hustle thing. So I started my corporate career, and inside of that comes the unimaginable personal tragedy of losing an 18-month-old daughter. And because I knew how easy it would have been to fall back into old habits, to numb the pain, I didn't want to do that. Plus, I still have my first daughter. So I threw myself into personal development. And this was about the time that names like Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar and Anthony Robbins, who's still around, was doing those huge stadium tours. And luckily, the company I worked for at the time, Coca-Cola, would pay for me to go to every single one of those as part of their employee benefits. So I went to them all. I lived in Atlanta at the time, so they always came to Atlanta. And I started applying what I was learning. And this is one of the important things, that you may go out and listen or read or hear a bunch of amazing content, but if you don't take action with it, well, you got no one to blame but yourself. So I started taking action on the content I was learning about, and it started having a real amazing impact on my career and my personal life. And I started, I got 5 promotions within 3 years, which where I worked was unheard of. And people started coming to me saying, how are you doing? Who do you know? Right? Hey, it's not what you know, it's who you know sometimes. So I started sharing with them what I felt was the benefits of, what I was learning from all these amazing people. And that led to me doing some coaching. People are like, hey, can you teach me this? So I started doing some coaching. And I thought, man, if I could teach more people at once. And that led to, there was this website called Blog Talk Radio. We're talking about 2007 now. And it was one of the early platforms for what is now known as podcasting. You could get onto this website and leave, your content there and people come and listen to it. And you could also do a live version, and they would give you a phone number people could call into. And I started meeting people from around the world and learning from them. That's like you, enjoying their conversation and their life story, as well as being able to help them at the same time. So that started that. And then about 2012, I started my first real podcast, and the rest is history. I got 3 of them now, and it always enabled me to share wisdom. I call it whiskered wisdom for obvious reasons. Share wisdom with other folks in the hopes that maybe if they're going through some of the caca I went through, they could pull themselves out of it. Or if they're risking falling back, right? That moment when my daughter died, I could have easily fell back. It would keep them from doing that. And like you, I get to meet some amazing folks along the way and teach them things. I think one of the greatest things I did before I even got into podcasting was one of my employees at Coca-Cola. I started, training her, teaching her some of the things I was learning from these big names, and she got promoted past me. And people were like, doesn't that bother you? I'm like, hell no. Are you kidding me? One of the greatest things you could do as a person is bring out the best in another person, whether it's your daughter, your family, an employee, right? And she went on to do great things, and more power to her, right? I was headed down a different path anyway.
That's awesome, though. And that is absolutely the right mindset to have always.
Yeah.
You've got to root for the people that you're trying to help anyway. Why would you ever want?
Yeah, really? Exactly.
First of all, it says a lot about your personality. You're probably in the wrong business if you're ever doing that.
Must be more about you than about me, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So why Dark Horse Entrepreneur?
I've always been the underdog. An underdog just seemed too cliche, right? A lot of the underdogs, as soon as you say underdogs, they're like, oh, they're going to win, right? Rocky, all the names across time, Cinderella Man, all 9 yards. And so the dark horse to me is usually the person that no one even knows about. They're not even paying attention. They're the quiet person sitting in the back of the room. Maybe they're joking around in high school, whatever it is. But man, they have a skill that when they apply it, people are going, what? Where did that come from? My brother, Robbie, well, he's my brother from another mother. I've always called him my brother. We met at like 14, and I knew him all the way until the day he passed away just a few years ago. He had this amazing skill where if you needed some sort of eclectic device or setup, he could put things together in his head and say, okay, I need 2 feet of PVC pipe. I need some chicken wire and some duct tape. And you're like, what? And the next thing you know, what it is you say you needed is built, right? And so he leveraged that into becoming a prop master for indie films down in Texas.
Oh, wow.
Never a path he chose. It just kind of happened. He was actually a bouncer at a bar. And he did leather work, and he always would hang some of his leather work, on him in one form or another. So people would ask him about it. And someone finally said, I'm doing this indie film, and I need the back of this car to look like a police car, but I really don't have the budget to, do welding and all 9 yards. And he's like, dude, give me like $50. Give me a couple hours and get on the Home Depot and meet me back at my house in a couple of hours. And with some PVC pipe and some creative, plexiglass and whole 9 yards and, paint that would wrinkle in the whole, he's like, there you go. And they slid it into the back. And the objective was they were going to have a zombie back there. So he was going to be banging around on it and everything. And that's how he landed his first role of doing props for these indie films. They're like, wait a minute, you did that for $50? We need to keep you around. So it was just, he had this amazing gift, but no one knew about it because that's just who he was. He wasn't all about making money and doing things. He was always about living his life his way, and he didn't need a lot. And so he just had fun along the way.
I love that, though. And I love that about people. And I think now, especially in this day and age that we're in with technology the way it is, social media the way it is, you find yourself guys who might not have had a certain career like podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
My only regret about podcasting is I didn't do it back in 2012.
Right.
I've waited this long to really get into it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an opportunity for anybody in this world right now to make it in some form or fashion in anything you pretty much choose to do.
Amen.
There's still a grind. I mean, podcasting is a grind. There's no question about
it. It is.
If you love it. I mean, it's a fun one if you love it. But so what do you say to people when they want to get into like this particular business, this niche?
The first question I would ask them is why? Because you're just getting into it for the money. There are so many easier ways to hustle up some cash, right? There's 1,000 different ways that are way easier. If you're like you, right? You like talking to people. I mean, I listened to a few of your shows and I checked out a couple of your YouTubes and I was like, okay, this is going to be a fun interview. He has that personality where he wants to learn. He wants to engage with folks. If you're that kind of personality, podcasting is made for you and you'll just vibe with it. Now, what you want to do with it long term becomes the next question for anyone that would ask me that. It's like, do you have a business behind it that you want to use podcasting to help make you an authority in your space? Cool. That's a great way to do it. You know, social media is one angle. I think podcasting really levels that up to the next tier. And then you can do both, right? Because podcasting gives you all these great clips of all the great wisdom you shared. And now you're both doing both at the same time. And if you have a business behind it, then podcasting can be lead acquisition, right? You could make nothing on ad spend or anything else. And podcasting can lead people to you because they're like, oh, shit, he does that? I didn't know that. Let me go check out his website or whatever, or just listen to a couple of episodes. And they're like, okay, I need you to help me with what it is you do, right? But the key is, it's always going to, and this is my personal opinion, some people differ on this, is to narrow down to a niche that's almost so small where you're like, yeah, there's not enough people in this pond right here. When you get there, then you're probably in the right space. Now, then you can turn around and expand out. Let me give you an example. When I started the Dark Horse Entrepreneur podcast, I wanted to focus on entrepreneurs. It's a mistake everybody makes. And I had been in the game already. Well, I started the Dark Horse Entrepreneur in 2020. What a great time for that, right? And I had started my first podcast way back in 2007, like I started there earlier. So I knew I should have niched down, but I purposely didn't want to because I wanted to see where I got pulled, right? I had a great arsenal of folks that I can bring onto the show, and I brought a number of them onto the show, and I started seeing where the numbers told me to go. And the numbers started telling me to go to online entrepreneurship, right? So there's my first niching down. So I started leaning into that. Okay, course creation, how you create content, those kinds of things. So I started pulling in guests that focused on that. And then I started noticing that a lot of the folks that I engaged with that were listeners, usually on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, were parents. Oh, okay. Now I'm going to niche down even further. And now I'm going to focus on parents that want to escape their 9-to-5 via an online business. And then AI hits the atmosphere. And I'm like, I gave it probably too long. I probably waited a year and a half before I jumped on that bandwagon. And then I layered in AI. So now my parents that want to, I called it the AI escape plan. My parents who want to escape their 9-to-5 via an AI empowered business can come over and check out the show. And that's what that show is all about now. But it took a couple of years to niche down, not because I had this amazing idea back in 2020, because AI wasn't even around there. It was because, all right, I'm going to start here. My intentions were where the audience pulled me is where I was going to go. Okay.
Sure.
So that was kind of the lifeblood of that. I could have started narrower, may have worked, may not have worked. I chose that path because, like you, I enjoyed the conversations. So I knew I would get through the grind while I was waiting to find, where the river was going to flow.
And it looks like it worked out so well for you too. And I love that path because there's so many ways to get where you're trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like your view on that because it is very, very true. You've got to figure out where you belong, and your audience will tell you as you go.
Yeah.
Like with the FAFO podcast, I just want to be able to have conversations and let people feel free to say whatever. Like if they cussed in my show, they could. If they didn't want to, it's perfectly great. That's not the point of the deal. The whole point of FAFO was to say, hey, this is your show. I'm just here to guide the show. Just talk about what you want to talk about.
Exactly. Well, it's funny you say it like that. When I saw, we met on Podmatch, and anyone who's a podcaster should be over there. That's a free plug. I'm just saying, right?
Yeah.
First off, your graphic caught my eye. I'm pointing to it up here on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought it was pretty cool. And then I checked out, like I said, an episode or two. First off, the starting music got me. I'm like, okay, there's a vibe going on here. Now let's see if the host carries that vibe on, which you totally do. And that's another thing about this business. Let's call it a business, right? For the most part, is if you come on to a show, be your damn self.
Yes.
If you're thinking of starting a podcast or you've just started a podcast, be your damn self. Because if you try to be Tracy, or if you try to be Joe Schmo, if you try to be Joe Rogan, it might work for a little bit, but then parts of you are going to leak out. And there's a vibrational frequency. We can go all woo-woo here if we want to.
Yeah.
If I come on here and I start talking like this for a while, and there's going to be some inconsistencies in who I am, and you're going to like, what's up with it? There's something that's not right here, and you're going to check out.
Yes.
Where if I just come on here and I just be myself, which you welcome folks to do, then people are going to go, all right, I can dig this bearded dude. Let me check him out and see what he's got to say. He's talking shit, but okay, I still want to listen. And if they don't like that, that's a benefit, because when you're in any business, I don't care what you're doing, you want to attract the people that are easy to work with, and you do that by being yourself. Your honest inside self, not who mom thinks you should be, not who your brother thinks you should be, who you are. And so many people are afraid to do that because it pushes people away. And that's a good thing. Because generally speaking, if you're being yourself and you push someone away and you go chasing after them because they have money that you want to get from them for whatever business you do, they're probably going to be a very difficult customer because they don't vibe with you. They don't click. There's going to be this, and they're going to ask more of you and more of you. So always be yourself. And in doing so, realize some people aren't going to like you, and that's okay.
Yep. And I agree with that so much. It's so funny because I had an internet radio station, and I still have it. Mm-hmm. But when I first started, I felt like I had to have my DJ voice and I had to go like this, and you're listening to Undefined Radio. That whole thing. But I was always so uncomfortable doing it. Mm-hmm. And you really have to learn to get comfortable with who you are.
Yes.
And lean into who you are, warts and all.
Yes.
You just into who you are. And what you are, people feel that genuine vibe coming from you. And they're like, well, he may have flaws here and there, but at least he's honest in who he is.
There
I
it
don't
is.
have to talk about this guy. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like I'm trying to be that politician that's trying to get your vote. And wait a minute. All right. He's saying all the right things, but I know he's full of shit. I know as soon as he gets in the office, he's going to do what's good for him, and that's just my personal opinion on politics, but that's okay too.
Hey, I'm BD Storm. If you're tired of the same old media talking points, welcome to the FAFO Podcast. Every week we tackle the biggest headlines, history, politics, pop culture, and the wildest FAFO moments making news around the world. We also sit down with fascinating guests from authors, actors, and entrepreneurs to military veterans, creators, and people with incredible stories you won't hear anywhere else. Real conversations, real opinions, zero nonsense. Hit subscribe, join the Outlaws, and remember, around here, if you mess around, you just might find out. So let's talk about AI a minute because it is such a fascinating thing. I use it all the time. I make no bones about it. I'm like, it is a great tool if you use it as such. And it can be a good creative tool for you if you use it. Like we talked about my interest music. That was written with Suno. I wrote the lyrics to it, and I'm like, I knew the vibe I was going for. It took me a few tries. Yeah. But you can hone it and you can use it because I'm not a musician. The only thing I can do with a guitar is swing it and hit somebody with it. I can't play a note. That's not me. And I've tried, but I find it. So have you found when you're working with AI that because there's such a, you've heard, of course, of all the AI drama, it's going to take jobs, it's going to do this, and especially in the Hollywood space, the entertainment space, what have you found AI to be for you?
AI is a creative partner for me, right? So, like I mentioned, I got 3 shows. The third show, the one I just started in January, is 100% AI, right? It's my voice. I gave it, because I have hours and hours of content. And so I fed it those hours and hours of content so it can mimic my voice very well. It goes astray every once in a while with some of the emotion, and I have to retry it and do it again. But it's AI. And I'm doing that on purpose because I want to test it out and play around in that arena. And it cuts down on my post time. So I'll come up with an idea. Like I was sitting upstairs just a little while ago going, okay, what am I going to talk about in the next episode? And I saw a picture of the Statue of Liberty. This particular show is called Some Unimproved Thinking. And I'm going to use the phrase conspiracy theories, but as we all know, it's only a conspiracy theory until the government finally admits it actually happened. But I lean more into patterns. So for me, there are all kinds of patterns out there that lead you to believe something somewhere in your heart. You're like, wait a minute, Prince died right before he signed his will, and he had all of his masters, and he was starting his own record company that was going to go up against Universal and Sony. Wait a minute. Didn't that happen to Michael Jackson too? Wait a minute. Didn't that happen to Sam Cooke, who was doing the same thing back in, what was it, the 60s? So it's these patterns that happen over and over again. And you go back in history and you find more of them. And so I'm like, I'm genuinely curious about them. I love them. Whether they end up being right or wrong, it's a different level of thinking, right? So I come up with the idea and I'm like, okay, let's go look around, do a little research. Oh, guess what? I'm using AI to help me with the research. And then when I come up with the script, I use another AI to make sure I'm going through and everything is factual. Because one AI over here that is great at script writing can drift off and say, oh, what do they call it? Was it Fort Dix? Anyway, the base of the Statue of Liberty is called Fort. I'm drawing a blank right now. Fort Weed or anyway. And the AI said it had 7 points. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's got 11 points. But that's what it does, right? It's focused on writing the script and getting the emotion into the words. So now I'm going to go the other AI who focuses on making sure I'm factual. All right. And it said, no, it's got 11 points. So you're going to want to lean into a different angle here because you use that 7 points. So I'm like, okay, let me fix that. And so it's this whole creative back and forth of things. And now I'm all set. And now I'll sit down and I'll feed it a couple of paragraphs and it will do the words in my voice and I'll check it. And then I'll go on. It may come to the point where I just sit down and record it like I do my other 2 shows. But right now I'm having fun using that as another tool And then I'll go into AI to have it create a video. And I just worked with ChatGPT last week, and we went through the process of creating a video creation process. And what I mean is, I went in, and here's where AI is a lot of fun. I went in and said, I want to create an AI video process for this podcast. And here's an example of the episode. And I gave it the Prince episode. And it said, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. And it broke down into 6 steps. Step 1 is, let me make sure the AI understands the story. Cool. Step 2 is, now what's the director vision of the story? So we're going to take the words and we're going to turn them into a vision. We're going to start creating, almost ideas out of it.
Yeah.
And then the next step is just like Hollywood. We're going to do some storyboarding. We're going to break it down into, 8 story blocks. And each story block is going to have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beats inside of it. And each one of those beats will have a different image in it, right? And maybe a video. And then step 5 is, now I'm going to give you the prompts to go over into whatever tool you're using to create the image. And now you've got the image. And if you want to turn that into a video, well, then here's the video prompt that goes with that. And mind you, I had to go back and forth with AI for a couple of days because it kept drifting off. I wanted to create this amazing thing for a production company. I'm like, dude, finally at one point I said, dude, you don't need to be so verbose. Let's check that. I don't need you to tell me all this reasoning why you gave me this suggestion. And I'm a one-man show. He's like, oh my God, I didn't realize that, which is kind of funny, right? Okay. And you gotta pull it back in, and it's bouncing these ideas back and forth. I'll give it an idea and it'll say, what, that's good. What if we did this and on top of that? Okay, cool. Let's try that. And I ran through, if you go to the YouTube channel for that show, you'll see the Prince video, all AI, right? I went through that entire process with that video. And I'm like, okay, that came out pretty good. Could have been better. But for a first pass, I'm pretty happy with it. So all that said, AI is great, but the minute you offload your critical thinking onto anything, AI tool or social media or the news or your mother, well, you might as well just put on a lemming face and, walk around like an NPC and, get over yourself. I don't know.
No, that's very true. I mean, I use ChatGPT like crazy, and I'll find myself every now and then going, hell, I'll give you a name as close as we become. and then it'll say something crazy. I'm like, no, maybe not yet.
Yeah. You're not there yet. No.
You're not there yet, buddy, but just keep it coming. But like this AI, I was designing my new author site because I'm a writer, and I was like, I've got to have me a dedicated author site for this and the podcast. I'm creating a dual site.
Sure.
And I didn't like the last ones, but I was like, I'm going to let Wix do it AI style, and it wasn't bad. But God, trying to deal with it on the other end of it. So some AI is a lot better than others. I think ChatGPT gets used a lot. Grok is getting more and more. They're updating Grok, and it's funny if you can put the same prompts in both of them, the differences you'll get.
Completely different answers. Yeah.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
So when you're coaching, and I'm saying all of that to get to this question, I'm gonna be long-winded tonight.
That's okay.
To get to this, so when you're coaching, what is the first world-building tool you give your clients if you're doing any coaching?
Are we talking personal development coaching, podcast coaching?
Let's say it's podcast coach. Let's just stay in that. Yeah, we'll stay in that.
Okay, we'll stay in that lane. Okay. It's funny because the personal development coaching, I would have went a completely different direction. In the podcast coaching, the first thing I want to give them is for them to understand their end goal. Not 10 years from now, where do they want their show and themselves to be in 365 days? That's a short enough time to be mindful, maybe even 6 months. Right? Because if they're like, I don't know, a year, I don't know if I can think out that. Okay, then tell me 6 months. Where do you want to be in 6 months? And usually they're saying, well, I'd like to have 10,000 downloads a month, and all the blah, 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 all the, I'll call them vanity metrics. Okay, that's fine. But where do you want to be as a host? Okay, and it'll be about getting that answer out of them, and that's usually a homework exercise. And you can sit down with ChatGPT and even just ask me 10 questions. I'm trying to come up with the answer of where do I want to be as a podcast host. Okay, give that a shot just to get your creative juices flowing, because if you don't know where you want to be as a host 6 months from now, then you're going to be wandering around the swimming pool with the water wings on and just kind of going with the current. And that's going to suck up more of your time. And that's not what we want. We want you to start on the path, and each step you take gets you closer and closer to that end result. And that comes back around to what's the goal of the podcast. If the goal of the podcast is to just earn ad revenue, cool. We need to get you into a niche that people are searching for every single day. Celebrity news, gossip, true crime. Don't go there. It's a tough one. But all these ones that people are searching for all the time. If your goal is authority, well, now we need to narrow down authority in what. And please don't tell me business coaching. Okay. Everyone's a damn business coach out there. Okay.
You're right on that first off, buddy.
Right now, and here's what I mean by that. I do email campaigns. I call them customer reactivation campaigns for small businesses. I only do them for small businesses. Could I do them for big business? Hell yeah. Could I make way more money doing it for big businesses? 100%. But I love working with small businesses. I love working with the dude down the street that is in there, walks into the shop with his dog. Dog lays down behind the counter, and he services people all day long, whatever he does. He could be an auto mechanic. He could be a baker. He could just be a barista. I don't give a shit, right? He's Joe Schmo. He's the backbone of whatever great country you happen to live in. They're everywhere, okay? I want to help them as much as I can. So I go in there and say, hey, do you have an email list? And if you don't, let's build you one. If you do, we can reactivate them, and you could probably generate as much money in a week as you do normally in a month. What? How do you do that? Well, that's what I do, okay? And when you have that level of understanding, okay, I'm only working with local businesses. I'm only going to work with folks that actually have a B2C service. Well, now you're going like this, like we talked about the Dark Horse Entrepreneur just kept shrinking down. Now I know exactly who it is I'm talking to. Now that podcast is way different than I'm a business coach. You feel me?
Oh, yeah,
because
absolutely.
Now I'm going to start giving advice to Joe Schmo. Hey, you walked in with your dog. Maybe you should have a dog day afternoon sale. And everyone brings their dog, and they hang out in the parking lot, and they shoot the shit. Your goal isn't to sell them something right then. Your goal is to build a community that looks at your window, whatever it is, you shoe shine, dude. And so the next time they're looking at their dog and they see their dirty shoes, they're like, oh, I'm going to go get my shoe shine. I'm going to go down to Tracy's place, man. We always have a good time when we're down there. And I know I can bring my dog. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's a completely different dynamic. And then it also helps you with who you bring on the show.
Yep.
Because you're not just bringing every Joe Schmo that's out there who wants to pitch their book or pitch whatever it is they're trying to sell next. Right? You can hear the sarcasm in my voice. He's a podcast host, ladies and gentlemen. He understands. So yeah, does that answer your question? I know it's a long-winded answer.
No, it does, and that's a perfect answer, because it really is true. And it's one of the things when you get into this business, and any business, I mean, even writing is the same way. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to pick what you're going to do and where do you see yourself. But then I have to create goals for myself when I'm like, okay, I'm not worried about the money. The end goal is if I do everything I want to do anyway, that will take care of itself. So that is not a concern.
Yes. Yeah.
My concern is, am I going to enjoy what I do? Am I going to be able to become an authority in what I do? Enjoy my time doing that and be able to be a benefit to other people at the back end of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm doing that, it's funny because then I start applying that to my life. And so that's really what I want to back around to. And let's apply that to the personal aspect when you're talking to the person itself, where they see themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're coaching them that way and not in a podcast, how do you handle it from that sense?
How do I handle it? Rephrase the question for me so I make sure I understand what you're asking me.
So when we were talking about when you're talking, how do you get somebody when we start that podcast with them, right?
Okay.
Giving them that advice on what they need to do and how you're coaching them to start. And you ask those first basic questions. Where do you see yourself at?
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing a business side of it, and whatever it is, widgets or whatever you want to call it,
mm-hmm.
How do you approach that from that business standpoint of just the business side of it?
So now I'm coaching them on their business, not the podcast.
On the business, forget about the podcast.
Yeah. It's almost the same series of scenarios. So instead of focusing on who they're trying to talk to on the podcast, it's who they're trying to sell to via their widgets. Who are you trying to sell this widget to? Please don't tell me anybody who's got money in their pocket, because that's everybody. Here's a great example. Let's say you got a gas station down the street. I'm just thinking of a shop down the street here, and we have this little town here. I live out in the sticks. Okay, I'm just southeast Wisconsin, ladies and gentlemen. 40-acre farm. This is our dream. We finally have it, and we got about 20-30 years to enjoy it. So here we are. But there's a little town here. It's called Sheldon, and it probably has 3,000 people. So it's not very big. It's got a grocery store, John Deere, and two gas stations, believe it or not. But in this gas station is this little shop that this guy started. He has everything. He's got O-rings. He's got wrenches. He's got screwdrivers. He's got PVC. And here's the reason why. This gentleman isn't just there to sell gas. He's there to be a convenience to the local folks around here that are farmers, or they just love living on the land. The downside of living where we live is the closest real store is 2 hours away. I don't want to drive 2 damn hours for a goddamn O-ring, right? And this guy figured it out. He figured out that, okay, I already have a gas station, so people are usually stopping by to say, what's up anyway? And when they come in to pay, old school, right? Now they just use their credit card, right? When they come in to pay, they see that I have all this amazing stuff. And the next time that they're out in their garage and they're running, if you're like me, you have the glass jar full of old stuff. You're like, well, I'm going to use that someday. I'm going to need that screw, or I'm going to need that O-ring. And they're looking at it, damn, I don't have the right size.
Yep.
Oh, wait a minute. John at the gas station, he has that little display of all those damn O-rings. So he's focused on his customer. And as a result of that, he has grown this little space, I think like 3 times in the past decade, as when I looked back across history, because he kept expanding the next level of thing that people needed. Now he carries some batteries because, funny enough, across the street is the John Deere. You think, oh, okay, well, let's go there to get the batteries. Guess what? John Deere doesn't carry the damn batteries. So gas station dude says, cool, I'm going to carry the batteries. Bing, bang, boom. So who is it you're focused on? You're not focused on everybody. You're focused on Tracy, who's out there in his workshop, who found out, damn it, I need this clamp. I don't want to drive all the way into Eau Claire to get this damn clamp. That's 2 hours there and then 2 hours back. My day is shot. So I'm going to carry a range of clamps. And when you live in the sticks or you're running a farm, you figure out how to make shit work You just like I was talking about Robbie, figure something out. Give me some duct tape and some baling wire, and I'm going to make it happen.
That's awesome.
Then answer your question is like focus on who you're selling to, right?
Yes.
Here, let me give you a second quick example. And if I'm babbling too much, just tell me to shut the hell up.
No, let's go.
There's a gentleman that we did an email campaign for, and he's in the detailing business. And for those who don't know what detailing is, that's a dude that comes in and really cleans your car, not just washes it like the cheerleaders at the high school, but goes through with a fine-tooth comb and gets all the dirt out of there, vacuums up your rugs. And usually they'll do a vibrating vacuum, so all the dirt that's at the bottom will rise up. They polish your rims and, put the vinyl coating on your tires and just really well. And he makes a pretty good living at that. And then he added on this ceramic coating for finishing nice vehicles out. So, and it's a $1,500 project. So if you're going to get your car detailed, you're talking what, $150 to $500, depending on the vehicle and how much you let him do.
Yeah.
Now he does this $1,500 ceramic coating on top of that. So imagine you've got, the G-Wagon, you're a head, the music going in the back. And you're like, I'm going to roll up in here. And he's like, I've got my detail package. He comes to you and he says, look, I can put this ceramic coating on here and I will protect this vehicle for about, 2.5 years. The little dings and all those little things that just piss you off when you're walking up to your truck, or whatever it is. Well, that's what it does. And, and if something goes wrong with it within that time, I'll reapply it for free. I mean, that's a win-win scenario right there. So we did one of those email campaigns for him, and he made, in 1 week, he had to turn business away because people that had been done business with before totally forgot about him. I'm like, it's not like you're just sitting there thinking, I need to go get my car detailed. Most of us don't have that mentality. He's like, yeah, sure. And so he knew exactly who his target audience was. He just wasn't re-engaging them. He knew that he was focusing on folks that most of them make $200,000 or more a year. They have a very nice vehicle, and he really tries to hone in on these, the Mercedes and the G-Wagons and, the Range Rovers, those kind of folks, because they have the reserve cash for that kind of thing. And so he was very focused on those folks. And I said, well, maybe you open it up just a little bit. And he's like, what? There's a college town 50 miles from you. Not too far to drive to get a good quality service for your vehicle, but he hadn't thought about that because there's a lot of kids out there that put a lot of money into their cars. And usually they're cars I don't like, but that's fine too. But so it opened up another window of opportunity for him. Anyway, so it's like, I know who I'm talking to, but have you thought about this kind of thing?
Yeah.
If you don't want to, that's fine. It's your business. I'm not trying to, throw any shade on you, but there's another opportunity that you might not have thought of.
And I think that's really the best thing. And that's one of the reasons why, guys who do what you do, especially because you're always thinking outside the box and what else could you be doing that you're not doing. Oftentimes, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I'm just still like trying to find help with my author stuff and get my books out there. I'm still learning and digging in, like, how do I even remotely get the information out there that I have a book for sale? Because if it could be the best book in the world, but if nobody's reading it, well, then
there it is
for you.
Yeah.
And so a business like yours is so beneficial. And Tracy, I could talk to you all night long. And I'm like, this is so informative. And there's so much stuff I didn't get a hit on that I kind of really want to. So I hope you will come back on the show one day.
Anytime you want, brother. I'd be happy to.
Because you are an interesting human being. And,
well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I love what you're doing out here. So tell my audience, if they need your help, or how can they follow you? And more than that, let's talk about those podcasts, because we didn't really get into those a lot.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. There's 3 shows. So we cover a lot of flavors here. The Dark Horse Entrepreneur, which I already mentioned earlier, is really focused on folks that want to do their 9-to-5 escape using AI powered the side. I call them side hustles. I'm kind of shifting that into micro businesses. It has a better ring to it, but I focus on the parents, and really anyone can benefit from them, because I know my parents are out there. They don't have a lot of time, so I try to make things in chunks. Here's something you can do in the next 20 minutes. Here's something you do in the next 30 minutes. Of course, it's not going to make you rich in 30 minutes, but it's going to get you to take that first step, so then you can take the next and the next and so on. The second one, which was actually my first podcast, is called Your Success DNA. All about personal development, whether it's, public speaking, confidence, dopamine hits. We cover it all. And all of my shows have a little mix of the rebel in me, because I buck the trends. I'm usually saying something that you've read in a book somewhere that might be true, but it's not 100% true. For example, one of the recent episodes, they were saying, we've all heard it. It takes 21 days to start a habit. We've all heard that. Okay. Everyone that's listening right now is probably nodding. Yeah, I've heard that. No, it's not true. It is not true. And I found this study where that quote actually came from, and it's really 66 days. And so that was part of one of the recent episodes. Anyway, so that goes to the rebel. And then last one is, of course, we just talked about that a little bit, the some unapproved thinking.
Yeah.
I only started it in January, and we're already 72 episodes in. I just have fun with it. And we talk about everything from, who shot JFK to was Prince really killed? And I told you about the Statue of Liberty. I think there's a lot of Masonic symbolism in the Lady Liberty. So we're going to be talking about that next week.
Oh my God! See, and I love those podcasts. Those are my favorite kind of podcasts. I'm not gonna lie. That sort of thing interests me so much. That's so fascinating. But what really fascinates me, I guess, is again the creativity that people have and the things that people are able to do now. And listening to you and your journey and how you got here and the things that you do with Dark Horse and your podcast, I get a lot of people tell me, man, you do so many things. I'm like, let me tell you something. Back in 2012, the only thing I knew how to do was manage a store. And I was killing myself. Literally, my doctor, who's my best friend, told me, if you don't quit, you're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I don't know how else to put it to you so you get through your thick ass head.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't stop, you're going to die. Do you want to die? I'm like, no, not really. I'm like, what kind of doctor are you?
Man, real kind.
The only way I can tell you is to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no. He said, well, you've got to do something else. And he was right, of course.
Yeah.
That's how I got into writing, but I didn't know how to publish. I didn't know how to get published. I had to publish my own. But it's amazing the thing you learn now, because the information is there.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned how to podcast, how to do my books. I do all my own covers, everything that I do. I've learned because I have the desire to do it. When someone tells you, Tracy, well, that's easy for you to say because you know how to do it, what do you say to those people?
You know what? I tell them that if they want to see how awesome I was in 2007, go check out my original YouTube channel under Tracy Brinkmann and see just how amazing I was. Yeah, sure, I know how to do it, but I've put in the time because I was willing to embrace the suck, right? I was willing to go and say, I'm going to try this. And in my overly the lighting in that space, I was washed out. I looked like I was wired out of my skull, and I wasn't, but I did it anyway because I wanted to. And I figured, all right, I'm going to put in the time. I'm going to put in the reps. And you got to do it. You got to be willing to suck so that you can be better. If you go back to 2020, the very first few episodes of the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast, I cringe. And I had already been doing podcasting for years just because I hadn't found my flow, right? I was stepping into a new pool, same media, new pool, right? And I was bringing on folks that were miles ahead of me, just way ahead of me in business. I was lucky enough to, because like I said, I had a pretty cool, network. Let's bring some of these folks on, and they're way out there. And man, I'm outclassing myself on my own podcast, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to embrace the suck. The first time you rode a bike, you probably didn't pop any wheelies, probably not. Probably fell off the damn thing a few times. I'm red green colorblind. This is going to go somewhere real fast, and I decided as I was growing up, I got really good at pencil drawing because I could do shading really well, and it's black and white. Cool. All right. And I decided in my 30s, I think it was, in my mid 30s, that I was going to try and paint in colors. I wanted to challenge myself. And what made it easy is Bob Ross had these cool little painting kits. I loved Bob Ross. He made it look so easy, right?
Oh, yeah.
We've all seen him. Okay.
Yep.
So I bought his kit and I sat down in the garage and I did the first painting and I thought, damn, I should have been doing this all my life. And I did the second painting and it looked even better. And I did the third painting. And you know what? I looked back at the first painting and thought, ugh, what the hell were you doing? And that was just across 2 months, 2 or 3. It was a summertime. So like 3 months. I did that third painting and it was I loved it so much. I stopped. I thought, okay, I'm good. I did it because I challenged myself to do something in color. Right. And I figured Bob Ross is not going to mislead me. And the bottles are labeled. Here's how you mix it. And maybe I got something a little more brown than green. Who cares? But it came out awesome. It's hanging upstairs in my house now. But okay, I'm done. And I moved on. So give it a shot. Who cares? Do you want to race a car? Cool. Go race a car. Legally, of course. But go race the car. You know what I'm saying? You want to build a car? Try it. Yeah. I found out when I started in high school, I loved working on cars. Didn't like working on engines so much. Yes. My best friend was an engine dude, so I didn't have to. Guess what I started doing? I got Mac Daddy at doing all the wiring in the car, especially when it came to the radios and the sound and the lighting inside the car. Between the two of us, we could take a car from the ground up and rebuild it from scratch. And then I learned to paint the damn car. Now we got it all covered. So you'll find your lane. Stop. So many people are going to say, dude, here's what you need to do. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Don't let someone force your square peg into their round hole.
Absolutely.
Go find your own square space.
Yes. 1,000%.
No trademark.
I can't agree more with that, and it's so true. Tracy, thank you so much for being here. How can people find you? How can they follow you? How can they hire you if they need to?
Well, the best place is go to any one of those, Dark Horse Entrepreneur or Someone Approved Thinking or YourSuccessDNA.coms for all of those. You'll see all the connect with me stuff. It's all right there. Whichever one you vibe with, I'm there for you.
That's awesome. Tracy, thank you so much for your valuable time today. It's been great. I know it's been great for me. It's got to be great for my audience. And I appreciate you just giving that time to be here with us today, man.
It's my pleasure.
How much it means. I learned so much. Mm-hmm. But folks, this was Tracy Brinkmann. Tracy, thank you once again. And guys, let me just tell you this. If you haven't learned anything from today, what is going on with you? Shame. Look, don't be afraid to chase what you want. Go after what you want to do. Take Tracy's advice here. And look, if you're struggling, if you're curious, I would hit this man up, because having somebody on your side who knows what they're doing and can point you in the right direction. You're not trying to be Tracy. You've got to be you, but the tools are there. The opportunity is there. The ability for you to do what you want to do is out there every day. So outlaws, get with it. You are listening to the FAFO Podcast. Facts, truth, no BS. Let's have it go. I'll see you guys next time.
4 on the floor, have a tank of gas. Does he boots on the wood, let the whiskey pass. This is FAFO. Holler it loud, fuck around with fiction, get the facts drawn. Getting triggers just the cost of the crowd. We're toxic to the lies, truth we're proud. This is